Rated mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. Alrighty, guys, welcome to another episode of the Patriot Angle Podcast. I am your host, Michael Gardner. On to today's show, Jimmy The Rant will be with us momentarily. Just waiting for him to get his stuff together. He will be joining us via telephone, calling in the show here momentarily, guys. We're talking about what we're going to be talking about is basically today's society in America, right? How the current administration, the current government, basically the radical left wants the current generation of our society to constantly remain in denial. How the left is literally orchestrating, we're talking a lot on this week about cancel culture, the woke agenda, the Green New Deal, this and that. You know, is it the ultimate distraction of what they really don't want us knowing? They don't want anybody knowing. Is it that? It could be possibly more. We don't know, folks. As more of this crap gets revealed every single day through social media, conservative media, even mainstream media. They know. Even mainstream media knows, guys. They know that all of this shit is literally a distraction. Why they don't report on it, why they don't say it to people that don't realize it is on me. But the common folks out there, folks, they know. They know. With that being said, guys, we got a lot to talk about on the show of shows. Don't touch the dial, guys. Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast. All right, guys, welcome to the show. As you heard the intro to the show here, we're going to be talking about basically how America is, wanting to keep, the current society in denial, and that's coming from the radical left. That's their new agenda now. Everything has to remain in denial. They don't want you knowing the truth. Obviously, if you say something of the truth, they put you in, social media jail, or they just completely kick you off the fucking platform like they did with me over there in ScrewTube. Yeah, we're basically off the platform. We're not allowed to upload shorts of videos. We're not allowed to do live videos. We're not allowed to do any of that. Officially banned from YouTube. Right? But joining us here tonight, guys, we usually have them through the digital studio, through Restream. Tonight we're recording here on Spotify, Google, and Apple, along with Audible and Amazon Music. Jimmy is on the phone with us tonight. How you doing, Jimmy?
What's up, Mike? Thanks for having me on the show, as always. And, I'm doing all right, man. I'm just trying to decompress from work. It's been busy as always. And, trying to keep up with current events and hopefully, shedding some light and waking up some people.
I hear you.
On the show.
I hear you. It's
hopefully they're not tired of me yet.
Hopefully we're what?
Hopefully they're not tired of me yet.
Hopefully, that's always we're always hoping something, right? In today's crazy, sick society. But obviously, you heard me open up the show just now, Jimmy, that, the San Francisco Valley there in California has officially banned me off of YouTube. I guess it was that show last week, right? Right before we started the show tonight, I was telling you a little bit about it. With the show we did last week, we were talking about whole different types of topics with Soslin, from Wisconsin, and I guess they didn't like that. You know what I mean?
Well, the big no-no now on YouTube is anything mentioning about COVID. So that seems to be the big issue we have going on. They're scrubbing anything COVID related that's not being pushed by the left off of YouTube. I mean, for God's sakes, Dan Bongino got hoisted off of YouTube, and his content was, I mean, pretty. I mean, it was good stuff, but he was pretty tame. He wasn't too crazy. You didn't really hear a lot of cursing, or if any cursing. He kept it very professional, and that's kind of what we do here on the show. And it seems to be, if you mention anything about COVID, they're scrubbing you off, and that's the dangerous part, because people are willing to side with the fact that corporations, well, it's not a public platform, and the First Amendment doesn't cover YouTube and stuff. Yeah, maybe. We also have to understand that these platforms and corporations they're huge, and they have a lot of influence, and whatever they direct will cause influence, and a biased opinion or decision could be made by somebody from those platforms. So I'm not saying, if there's anything crazy radical, I understand if somebody says, well, we have to kind of put a little check and balance in there. But I'm not one for censorship. If somebody's talking about something and they're not encouraging anyone to do anything, right? They're just kind of, encouraging that person to research it more and kind of understand something better. There shouldn't be these bullshit fact checkers on there, and you getting kicked off permanently without even having any type of discussion. So
Yeah.
It's like they hold their own little private court, and they don't even give you a chance to redeem yourself either. So
Yeah, I
I'm a big
agree
fan of
with you.
that law.
Jimmy, we're trying to educate. On this show, other shows related to this show that basically shares the same type of material of content. We're not trying to, like you say, we're not trying to push it on anybody or force it on anybody. It's more of educating people, of the truth. There's truth behind statements, and I think the left, they don't want to hear that. They want to just lie. To be honest with you, I'd rather speak the truth than lie,
I agree, and I think that unfortunately for that side, unfortunately the left believes that science is subjective, right? Science, to them, it's fluid. Doesn't necessarily have to be fact based, and anything that they don't agree with is not science anymore. So, I mean, when we talk about COVID, right? There was tons of independent studies and doctors and people who kind of came out and said, well, this isn't adding up, and the narrative here, we don't necessarily agree with it, and they're just like, you're a conspiracy theorist, and we're gonna have to silence you, and you don't know what you're talking about. But then those are the same people that say, yeah, if you want to be a woman and you're a man, then you're a woman, and you could play women's sports. So these are the people that rally behind. Well, you guys don't believe in the science to the right. You guys are MAGA maniacs. You don't believe in the science. Well, is that not a man? Oh, well, what's wrong with you? Well, that's a woman right there, because he says she is. So again, I'm not knocking people for what their beliefs are or whatever they want to be in life and their sexual orientation. I'm just saying, either you believe in science or you don't believe in science, and that's kind of where their distorted view comes from.
Right.
And then, yeah.
You're on this topic here of, transgenderness and, like if you want to be a man or a woman, like, hey, I'm the same way, Jimmy. I'm not going to knock you for wanting to be like that. But at the end of the conversation, don't expect me to agree on your viewpoints. You know what I mean? And don't get upset with me for not agreeing with it. And we're seeing that a lot in society today, where they want you to agree with their viewpoints. They'll go to extreme levels. They'll basically call you every name in the book, they're getting upset, and I think I see where it's going at. They just want attention. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to.
But that's where this banning comes from. The woke culture enables them to lean on corporations. So they've become smart. They understand many different tactics. So if somebody were to say, I don't agree with them and they're losers who live in the basement, well, you got something else coming to you, because that side, they have a lot of experience in what they're doing. So what they do is now they rally behind platforms and companies to cave in to the woke culture, right? And follow their demands. So I mean, think about what transpired 2 weeks ago. um there's questioning going on, and it's like, can you identify what a woman is? I'm sorry, I'm not a biologist. I can't explain what a woman is. I mean, that's so you mean to tell me that's the side that that you want to kind of trust your information from?
Oh
Just
yeah,
information.
yeah. That
Just
was
the war on information.
yeah, that was actually from. You're referring to the hearing, right? When they were trying to question the new Supreme Court justice nominee, right? I think it was
Yeah,
Ted Cruz.
Judge Kentucky Brown.
Yeah, yeah,
Jackson.
Judge Jackson.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, all right, so this is the side that I'm supposed to get my information from. So actually seen something. I seen like a cringeworthy meme earlier today, and it was kind of funny. It was two people talking, and it was like, well, you can't think like that, and I don't and I don't, we don't think it's healthy. You should stop. And the person was like, so what you're saying is you want to teach them your values and ideas, and you know and then it was like an angry face after that, because there's nothing to say back. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, the left is like, well, this is how we don't want you teaching your kids certain things. We don't want you teaching men to be masculine. We want you to teach them about toxic masculinity. We don't want you to teach your kids about um, finance
Yeah,
and life
see, that's
skills.
where
We
the
want you to teach
agenda.
your kids about critical race theory.
Yeah, see, that's where
We
the
don't.
agenda's going, Jimmy. In the schools today, that they don't want to teach that balance, type of teaching. When we were going to school, I called it a balance type of teaching. It wasn't biased. It was balanced. I'm sure the teacher didn't agree with it, but it was said by the school board to teach certain studies that were appropriate for that age group of the students. So now it's all changed. Now they want to influence certain type of behavior in classrooms. They want to teach young kids as young as 5 years old, and I just mentioned this on the show a few days ago, about sexual orientation. 5-year-olds, Jimmy, learning about sexual orientation, about transgenderness. It's disgusting what's going on.
Well, I don't necessarily remember a time where I went to grammar school. First off, when I went to grammar school, you didn't even know your teacher's first name.
Yeah.
They did not invite you into their personal life. They were your teacher, and you had some of them that were strict and stern and really just wanted to teach you the curriculum, and you
Yeah.
had some that were really cool and got to know you and coached you on as you went through. The last that was that would never happen is a teacher talking about their sexuality to their students, because at that point parents would have rolled up.
Oh yeah.
There would have been a big problem, especially here in New Jersey, the way people act. There would have been a big problem, because there's no need to discuss that. And I'm not saying that there isn't a time, but I think that when children are becoming teenagers and they're kind of experiencing going through changes, you know, maybe there's a discussion there about certain things. Right now, our country is fucking falling apart. I don't need kids to learn about and I'm being honest, and I think we should learn about everything. So I'm not trying to say we shouldn't teach our kids about stuff, but all right, we are not producing what we used to. We don't manufacture things here. We're not raising people that are part of the important infrastructure that are going to take care of the
Well,
infrastructure.
see, Jimmy, we're
We don't.
not we're not living in a constitutional republic anymore. This is basically a totalitarian form of a government. It's very radicalized. It's very much divided. Like you mentioned, when you were in grammar school, the teacher was your teacher. He or she wasn't your friend. Now they're being, introduced to, Megan or Sally. It's not, Mrs. Grimestone or, you know what I mean? It's, they're like, I'm your friend. No, you're not my friend. You're my educator. You're my teacher. That's the way it should
Well,
be.
that's my point. Is that it all ties back into what we opened up with. Is that what they're teaching your children is everything that was accepted as the norm is now they have these think tank and they have these words to condition you, to make you believe that there's a counter to everything now. Like I was saying, if you're a man, you can't be a man and masculine no more. That's being toxic. That's toxic masculinity. Even though our biological makeup, testosterone makes us a certain way, and
Yeah.
that's what goes on in these schools. It's like we need doctors, lawyers, scientists. I don't need a kid to come out and go, "Oh, I'm no good at math, but I could tell you, what every color in the rainbow flag represents," or
Yeah.
and I'm not even trying to be funny. Instead, I mean, listen, I don't. Kids shouldn't be marching around in schools. I seen a video of kids marching around. They had like a pride parade inside the school. Listen, I'm not against that, but I have gay friends, and their sexuality is not the main focus of our friendship. I don't treat them any different than I would a straight couple, but they don't necessarily tell me every 5 minutes that they're gay or this is my sexuality, and their sexuality doesn't make up who they're who they are. That's just their sexual preference, which is cool, man. Do whatever you want. So what happens is in these schools is all this stuff that's being indoctrinated to them. It's raising these kids to be good little activists and good little social justice warriors. And in return, these people get these jobs in the corporate workplace, and those are the people that are judging your content. The people that were told free speech is bad, free speech will hurt you. If someone doesn't agree with you, take your ball and go home. That's their kind of mindset when it
Yeah.
comes to these things. So when they hear anything that is not fed to them, because they don't have critical think, they don't think on their own. They need people to think for them. Then that's where you get this kind of like you call shadow ban, put you in the shadow realm. That's where you get this type of bullshit because it doesn't take much for them to cave in
Yeah.
because they already have those people working there that
Oh
are like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Did
no,
you we're talking about this issue. Did you see just the other day? It was a few days ago that the Biden administration openly invited and welcomed the transgender Jeopardy megastar, they're calling her, her or him, Amy Schneider, to the White House. Did you see that? Where Amy Schneider was like saying, I don't think our society and our movement of transgenderness in America is dying out. I think America's slowly opening up to us. And I'm so honored and grateful for the Biden administration, especially the Biden administration, to invite us here. This is such an honor. I'm like,
but that's the focus point. You see what I mean? Like
yeah,
the focus point should be that individual is fucking awesome at Jeopardy. That should be the focus point. That they are crushing it right now.
yeah.
The focus point is I'm a transgender who did it. What the fuck does being a no? And again, anyone who listens, if you're transgender, please, put a comment in. I would like to know, and I'm sure Mike would too.
Yeah.
What does being a transgender have to do with you being awesome at Jeopardy? what the fuck does it do? I'm
Jimmy,
sorry,
they have
man.
to, yeah, they have to label it. They have to put that sexual orientation of a label in that statement. Because guess what, Jimmy? As much as you or me, we don't agree with it, right? What's going to happen is if when they put the transgender label in that statement, it's going to be plugged in forever on social media and it's going to sell, because mainstream will pick it up and it'll sell for that entire week. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's really what it is. They could give two shits. Let me tell you something. If that person was a mediocre person on Jeopardy, they would give two shits about him,
Yeah.
about him, her, whatever. They would give two shits about that individual. They would say whatever, doesn't anything. But now it's a grab. It's that community of people say they are now representative of us. And then obviously the Biden administration is like, "Ooh, this is good. Bring them in. Let's talk about it. Let's get crazy about it." And it's the cycle that keeps going around. I
Well,
think that, like I said, it's this is what we put our values in, folks. If you don't see it, if you want to know why you have all the problems we have, this is what we value. And I'm not
yeah.
talking about value and not value and diversity. I'm
Well,
just saying this is what we value.
well,
That's
well,
it.
well. One of the key issues, that why she or he she or whatever the hell you want to call it. I call it a it. It whatever. Yell at me for whatever you want to yell at me for, but yeah, I call it as it is, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's an it, right? The it was invited to the White House because just the other day, the White House put a post on their social media accounts, that today we have the honor of celebrating Transgender Day of Visibility with Amy Schneider in the White House. They actually have a day, Transgender Day of Visibility.
Well, that seems to be like an American thing now. Everybody gets a day. We do a day for everything. Everyone gets a trophy.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing to kind of like, you know, give you an incentive. Listen, I have a problem with if you want to be called whatever pronoun you want to be called. I'm not going to fight you on that. I don't care. I
Oh, I'm
don't
not
care if you
fighting
like.
on it. I think it's, if you want to, if you want to consider yourself a transgender, a man when you're really a woman, vice versa, a woman when you're really a man. I'm not challenging that. Hey, to each his own. Whatever floats your boat, like my mother would say back in the day. Like whatever floats your boat. But stop pushing the issue on this, whatever you're trying to push, like you're talking about pronouns, right? You want to be a he when you're really a she, whatever, but stop pushing it, Jimmy.
Well, I think there was a big discussion about that before, where they wanted to make if you didn't call someone by their proper pronouns, they wanted to make that a hate crime. So this is what I mean is that you have a lot of different groups out here now, and they play they play the victim card, and they want Big Brother to step in and do all this type of crazy nonsense. Like we need to censor the speech. We need to make it a hate crime if you don't call me by my gender pronoun, you know, that I prefer. And I think that that's where we're getting out of control about. We've lost touch with a lot of different. We've lost touch with each other. We
Yeah.
have gone so far right, so far left, so far this, so far that, that we've lost sight of a lot of different things that we should be, a lot of different ways we should be moving to kind of make the country a great place.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the issue I have. The issue is not. I don't have an issue with there being if you want a trans day, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but I don't want my kids celebrating. I don't want them dressing up as, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this
You don't
craziness.
want your
Like,
your
hey,
son or your daughter or whatever, your children coming up to me, and saying, "Hey, Dad, when you have that conversation when Halloween comes around, you have your conversation with your kids. Hey, kiddo or sweetheart, well, what are you gonna be for Halloween? I want to
well, I
be,
don't.
you know what I mean?
But I don't think my thing is that, because I don't want to compare it to Halloween, because these people genuinely want to be of the opposite sex. So I'll give them that much respect that I won't compare it to Halloween. But what I'm saying is, the way that we're moving, what's next? Is there going to be, if there's a transnational day, are schools going to be saying, hey, come in, send your kids in with your wigs, or send your daughters
Yeah,
in
I was
a
basically
fake
going to that
beard or
route.
something
Like,
like that? Yeah, like,
yeah, I was going to that route, Jimmy, where, like if or when, right, we become, when we go to that direction as a country, with our education, is this, if the schools, put out a newsletter, or they send, a flyer home with your kids saying, we want your kids, to put a wig on to support Transgender Day of Visibility. Like, what's your insights on that? Would you try to take your kids out of that school and probably consider homeschooling then, or?
well, I think a lot of people we're in the same boat where, unless your kids are going to private school or you have the time to homeschool them, you're stuck with going to public school. Plus, we pay for public school. So I will say to anyone out there, if you're not involved, get involved with, your school board. I mean, try to make changes. Speak out about things. You may not. Again, if I got a letter at home saying, "Would you like your kids to participate?" I'm going to say no. And I'm not going to say no because I don't think it's right. I'm gonna say, well, I don't think it's right, but I'm not gonna say no out of being out of hate. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's your
say no
opinion.
because
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no because it's the way I feel, and also I'm gonna say no because, all right, my son better be like, if you have time to do that, my son better be a genius at math.
Yeah.
He better be this. I'm not trying to put all the blame on the teachers because I can't to teach, right? But it's like, let's get back to the basics where
Yeah.
you have we have we have this platform to teach kids in the country. Let's get them back. Let's invest in them.
Yeah.
Let's get them back. Let's put more money in the school system, right? And there's a lot of money out there. It's just being mismanaged by the government. And I'm saying on both sides, Republican, Democrat, it's being mismanaged. Put more money into the kids and let's teach. Let's get them up there. Let's. If you look at, there's a certain type of visa that is used in the United States to bring, you know, these geniuses over from other countries. There's no need for that. We have awesome people here in this country,
Well,
black, white,
that
Hispanic,
gets to the next
every
point,
type of
Jimmy.
American person that if given the right nurture, can be an absolute
Well,
rock star in this
Jimmy,
place.
that gets to the next point. We are, as a country, we're facing that, that great reset. I seen just the other day, I caught an episode, current episode of U.S. Freedom Fighters, which you and I both know. You're a big follower of theirs, and I'm a follower of their content too. And this was an episode of AJ's Raw Thoughts, and I plugged in that episode, and right after I plugged in that short little brief on the episode on the website, AJ talking about survival traits, you know what I mean? And this you're probably wondering, like, Mike, what does this have to do with what we're talking about? It has a lot to do with what we're talking about. It's basically the great reset of this country. She's talking about survival traits, right? And as soon as she said that, right at my episode, right, the comments came in on the blog, where, oh, this is a hate group, and they're trying to prepare for war, and what? This is what I'm talking about, Jimmy. There's a woman by the name of AJ from U.S. Freedom Fighters, right, that's basically trying to educate America into stockpiling. That's what the episode was about, stockpiling. And they misread what she was trying to say. They thought she was trying to prepare for war, and it's a militia group and this and that. This is the crap that we have to listen to.
Well, I think we may be at a point right now in this country where we've already reached our peak and it's going downhill. and we're at the point where we're seeing countries like China start, ascending to their peak. Every empire falls apart, and unfortunately, I think that we may be on the cusp of, America falling apart. At this, the civil our empire is coming down, and
Yeah.
I don't know what you can do to prepare for it.
You just got to see, like, how much does our country, how much more can it survive? Like, literally, you're talking about every empire, every great nation, past and present, cannot survive the type of demise that it puts itself through, right? Every country collapsed at one point or another, whether it was facing communism, socialism, just about every type of political angle that it was thrown at. No country on this earth can survive its own crisis. I mean, can we?
Well, I don't think we can I don't think most groups can come to the dinner table anymore. So I think that if you compared it to certain times before when patriotism was high, the way that we're talking about things, people would disagree, right? You might have someone that goes, I disagree with that, but we could still maybe go have a beer. Maybe we could still be neighbors with each other and be civil.
Yeah.
Maybe we're still part of the same civil organization outside of that, or we're on the Board of Education, or the election board. And I think that that's what we've lost. And we're so pitted against each other, left versus right, gay versus straight, black versus white, Democrat versus Republican, fucking, Xbox players versus PlayStation players. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just like, it's insane that we can't even have a common ground anymore. We used to have common grounds, and then there was like, hey, oh shit, you're talking about that? I don't really agree with that, but it's cool because I'll see you at work tomorrow, and let's try to be civil. Okay, now it's like, cutthroat. So it's almost like if we're talking about the Great Reset, and the Great Reset is destabilizing an economy, destabilizing a people. We're here. We're in the mix of it right now.
Yeah, but do you see, like, do you maybe see here, and we're gonna cut it here in about a couple minutes. Do you see that maybe all of this is there a blame to be put on any of this? Maybe social media. I mean, do you maybe an influence a little bit of social media, or do you see any type of like blame to be put on any of this of what we're facing?
Yeah, I blame us. I blame everybody.
So you don't think you're blaming us as a society, but
as
you don't.
Society, yes.
Yeah, you don't see any influencing coming off of a product, right? Like maybe social media or just
all of it.
Just programming alone today could be a difference maker, versus the programming from the early '80s, when we were kids,
Well, the quote-unquote conspiracy theorists were having this discussion when TV came out. They were saying this is going to be the end of people with this TV. It's going to distract people. It's going to rot your mind. And now that and TV has proven to do some of those things, right? So you just, with those types of vices, you have a less informed public because they need to inundate themselves with certain content all day just to get through the day. And then at the end of the day, you just don't think for yourself anymore, and then you move with the crowd. You just say,
exactly.
It's more work for me to disagree with you. So instead, I'll agree with you, and I'll drink a 6-pack and watch a football game, and I'll fucking go to sleep and wake up to my numb kind of life tomorrow. I'm not saying I don't like beer or football.
Yeah.
That confused, but I'm just saying.
It's like exactly, you can ask a question to, the general public and say, if the government was going to literally put a ban on everything, cell phones, plasma TVs, LED screens, social media, specialty of apps, everything, digital ordering, everything you have in this society, if it was basically to be reset, right, to the original format of our society 30 plus years ago, in the early to mid 90s, right? Excuse me, the mid 90s. Would America be accustomed to that? Would they give up what we have today? would they want to go back to the old form of a society here in America? That means, hey, if you need a cab, you do it the old way. There's no Uber, there's no Lyft. Cell phones, they don't exist. You have to go to a payphone, right? I mean, you think America would want to go back to all that, Jimmy?
No, absolutely not. But I mean, with the way that the economy is going, if we go through a big crash, we might just have to go back because you won't have any money to live on those luxuries.
See, the reason,
enjoy those luxuries.
yeah, the reason why I'm saying all this is because, what I'm mentioning right now on the show, there, not just myself, but there are a lot of different, podcast hosts, content creators such as myself and you, that have been talking about this for quite some time now, the last few years. A lot of people calling it the Great Reset, but the Great Reset, in my viewpoint, my opinion, would be what I just mentioned. Going back to, like what you had just said, going back to the basis, going back to the original roots of America. Maybe we have to go back, Jimmy, to preserve our society, because as humanity, we've touched on this issue several times on the show. As humanity advances, I think we're advancing way too quick as a species. I think by eliminating some of this stuff, it could be, a good point to it to, save our species, from killing each other, killing one off. You know what I mean?
I don't know if we need to do away with a lot of stuff, but what I will say is that the thought behind people losing, like being in touch with certain things, it's not a relatively new thing. It's pretty old. When the Boy Scouts were founded, there was a belief that boys, that men were losing in touch with nature and learning certain things, right? So they started the Boy Scouts in like 1910, and then you had Teddy Roosevelt, who believed that that people should be out in the woods and wilderness and kind of connecting with nature, and he started the national parks. And you have a lot of different organizations that seen this coming from a mile away, that they were like, we're losing, and unfortunately, because, and I do agree that there is a lot of influence from certain things, and I mean, now look at the shape of the country. Look at the shape of us. We're overweight. We're unhealthy. Critical thinking is not something that's valued at all. It's be a part of the mob or get run over by the mob.
Pretty much.
So I don't know what the best fix is, but I would say that read, feed your mind. And I'm trying to do it myself. Feed the body and mind. Give it some sustenance and just try to learn something every day, and then also teach the kids that. And I think that's where we have it. The school systems now are just kind of raising mush, and they're just good enough to work for a corporation and push the buttons and sign the papers, but other than that, they're really not able to do much anymore. And that says a lot as a society. We were, the power in the world, and, being one of the superpowers in the world, we're seeing a decline. And people could say that's speculation, but, I mean, just look at where we're at now compared to where we were at before.
We're living more of a digital society than what we're supposed to be living in. Like, our society is more digitalized than ever before. We rely on robots and modern and advanced technology that like you said, it's killing us. Like, slowly by slowly, it's killing us off. Our brain cells are dying out. Simple adults, and It's sad that a simple adult, can't add 1 and 1, that equals 2. They it's just for example, but it's just it's really sad. It really is that we've become a society now where we don't live the way we used to live. You talk about the Boy Scouts. It was designed to bring us more into depth with nature and relying on survival traits and stuff like that. Today it's like you put somebody in the woods, they wouldn't know what the hell to do.
We're biologically made up as men to be able to handle some of those situations, handle stressful situations, handle lifting heavy things, and that's the things that have been given to us. And I just think that I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said, men. It was Josh Barnett, retired UFC fighter.
Oh,
And he's
yeah,
like,
great guy. Yeah, I know him very well.
And he's like, men are supposed to, work out. They're supposed to put themselves in tough situations, and that's what we're built for. And I think that, we're not living right now. I don't
No,
think
we're
it's
not. We're
how
not
we
living. No, it's the digital. People calling it, the metaverse, or whatever this crap now is that they're calling. But we're not living anymore. We're not men. Modern man is not modern. Well, let me rephrase that. Modern man isn't a man. It's basically, a man in you're probably going to laugh about this, but a man in a woman's body. I mean, look at the work ethic today. It's terrible. A 20-year-old kid complains after 20 minutes of hard labor. It's like, you expect me to do this for 10 hours? Well, yeah.
They don't have anything to work up to, and unfortunately, like I said, that's the mush that's being raised. Kids don't even need. You know, Technology's awesome. I got to see video games make their way through the ranks, and it was exciting. Like 1995 to 2000 was an exciting time.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, the graphics from, PlayStation and...
AOL graphics, but now kids are stuck in the house. They're not stuck in the house. They choose to stay in the house. They don't listen. You come here to New Jersey and you walk on the streets in the summertime, and I'm going to tell you right now, the only kids that most of the time, the only kids that enjoy free playing outside, and I'm going out on a limb a little bit. I'm not trying to generalize everything, but at least where I live, the people that are outside playing are the kids that are firstborn generation here. Their parents are immigrants. We have a very large, we have a couple different, different groups of people from countries here, and those are the kids that go outside and play, or they're actually kids that came here from other countries. They value going outside, playing with a ball, running up and down the street, and I look and I don't see the American kids anymore. You
No.
see it, you see it sporadically. You see some kids in the basketball court or whatever, but it's a
Yeah.
shame. And I did see some cool stuff the other day going to the park near my house. It was packed with kids, and I was like, "All right, man. You know what? That's good to see." The
But
kids
see,
are getting out and enjoying
here's the
themselves.
question for you, Jimmy. If you and I mean, we're relatively in the same generation, right? If you and I had the opportunity of these things, right, given to us today, if we had social media, if we had high advancement of gaming today, right? If we had all this stuff, all this leisure today, then who's to say, would you be the kids that are, portraying in this type of society today, back then in the 80s and early 90s? Would you be doing that the same way the kids that are doing it today? Or would you be, it's hard to say if you would or not. It's even hard for me to say, would you rather, play on a digital game console, or would you rather be in the backyard with your friends drinking a can of Pepsi with a bag of potato chips you got from the corner store? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. That was how we grew up. That was our experience. But we actually condition our kids to be like this. It's a sad thing. It's
Yeah.
like you give your kid an iPad or you stick them in front of the TV so you can do something because you're working 14 hours a day, right? And now both parents have to go out and work because the cost of living is astronomical and through the roof.
Oh
Those
yeah,
kids they're being conditioned to take in the electronics and it becomes part of them.
yeah,
And if this was in the 80s, I'm sure we'd be the same way if our parents stuck something in front of us. We had to use our imagination a lot more.
oh yeah,
Action figures, things like that. Those are
yeah,
things you played with. And
yeah,
even the video games in the 80s and 90s, they were cool, but you played them for a period of time. Or the game itself, if you actually played a game, right? It was like 35 minutes to an hour worth of gameplay. If you knew what you were doing, you beat it in an hour. You weren't going to play it again right
yeah.
away.
There was so much,
But
the gaming then, versus the gaming now. I mean, you could play, a thing of, Super Mario Brothers and beat the damn thing and, fucking, like you said, like an hour, a couple hours, versus now the games, Jimmy. I mean, they actually have, they put series to these things where, you're playing a series of a certain, Minecraft or, like Battle Gear or whatever. I don't know the games today. I'm just trying to put up some together. And for example, you beat that game, you only beat like the first chapter of that game. Now they're coming out with chapters and series and this and that. So you're like, holy shit. Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the world for gaming, they're doing it on purpose because, hey, they'll be like, hey, Mario Brothers was pretty cool back in the 80s and early 90s, but, it's a good market for games. You know what I mean? Because they know that the people are going to go out and buy the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. You know what I mean?
no, yeah, I agree. I mean, some of these games that they're coming out would have 25 to 30 hours of gameplay for the main storyline, and then they have all these side quests and stuff. So if you take that, if you take the current age of the way that we use technology, if you take what our kids are being taught in the school setting, if you take how companies are caving in and acting towards all types of woke culture and demands from certain groups, then it's really not hard to understand why we're experiencing the things that we're experiencing now. And I think that if we're in a transition period, I had a good conversation with a buddy of mine that I haven't spoken to in a while, and if we're in a transition period for certain things, uh, if it's in a more positive light, I'm fine with that. Like I think that there's a lot of things we can do better and build on, but unfortunately, we're stuck in this kind of uh, purgatory, and we
Yeah.
don't know what's around the corner. And I think that it's an unfair assessment for people to, even jump on what you were speaking about with what AJ said from U.S. Freedom Fighters. I think it's unfair for somebody to try to clown somebody trying to prepare for something
Yeah.
because you don't know what's around. I mean, listen, the president got on TV and said gas prices, yeah, they're gonna be high. We're helping our friends out. Food shortages, they're real. They're gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I think you touched on that last week, with Soslin that was on the show, like, yeah, like it's scary, and I want to close it out. I wanted to close it out like 10, 15 minutes ago, but we got into a topic here, and it was I wanted to keep it going, but like I agree with you, Jimmy. It's technology's scary. The new form of our society is very scary. I think the generation today has been basically, maybe conditioned into it already. They're prepared for it already. They understand it. Our generation, the generation that came before us, we somewhat understand it, but we're not ready to accept it so quickly as this next generation is. You know what I mean? Like we've been conditioned back then to accept society for what it is. Like when technology was basically, brought into this society here, this world, it shocked our generation. It shocked my generation, your generation, I'm sure. But did it shock this new generation? No, they were already born into it. You know what I mean? So I think that's the difference maker between, the 80s babies versus, the millennials. You know what I mean?
I think that I agree with you, but I also think the difference between us and the generations that came after us is the way that we were brought up. We spent a lot of time having to deal with people. We couldn't hide behind a screen. There was real consequences for the things that you might have said to somebody. So I think that the digital age has brought this kind of um, this sense of security for people to kind of act
Yeah.
however they want behind a computer screen and behind a microphone.
Yeah, there's more of there's more of an avatar of what you're basically saying, behind the screen. People are acting as more as an avatar than a real person, expressing real feelings, real emotions. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and we grew up fine, and the people that were gonna grow up and their sexuality was in question, they grew up feeling that way, regardless if someone coached them or not. So I think the difference between us is that when we went to school, teachers taught us. Yeah, some of them were miserable fucks, and they obviously would take it out on us. The way that teachers talk to us I mean, I don't know if I can speak for you, but I know the way coming up, the way some of the teachers spoke to us was nutty. They would scream at me and stuff, but they taught you what needed to be taught. They kept their private life out of the classroom, unless it was a funny story or something cool. And we had to interact with everybody because we didn't have FaceTime, we didn't have social media. We had to figure stuff out with people every single day. How to talk to people, how to engage with them, how to problem solve with them, and like I said, there was real consequences um, for your behavior when you were with a group of people, right? Or
yeah.
it's like you could, you can go online right now and create a fake account and tell someone to go, I want you to do this to yourself, or you're a piece of crap, or you're ugly, or you're fat, or you're this,
Oh,
or you're that.
peer pressure. You're talking about modern peer pressure versus peer pressure back then. Oh my God, peer pressure was bad back then, but the peer pressure today has gone to extreme levels. It really has.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I just mean that you could troll people from behind a fake account, and you could wipe your hands with it and laugh about it, go to work, and that person will never know who you are or never
Yeah.
bother with it.
Well, that's what I'm talking about,
Remember,
Jimmy. Peer pressure has gone to a digital scale. Like you're saying, you can use a fake account and no one will ever know. You have become the digital avatar through that bullying and peer pressure. Back then, you find the scumbag, or you find the bitch, and you take care of the matter. Now, yeah, you know how hard it is to track somebody online now. You can't find them unless you have a government server. It's quite easy, but I mean, uh, today it's a lot different. Yeah, but
yeah, and what I will say is that um, you didn't deal with like when you're online, your audience is huge. Your audience is across the world, across the country, across cities. The way we grew up, we cared about our communities more because we those were the people we dealt with every day. We didn't give a shit about a guy from California or a breaking and entering in Texas. We didn't have to. We cared about the neighborhood. We cared about our street, and then we
you
cared
cared
about the
about your
street next
community
door.
more. Yeah,
Because that was the main focus. And you know what? People were much nicer. And I grew up in a bad neighborhood, and people still cared. And we used to go up and borrow sugar and milk and butter from people, and they did things, vice versa. They did it with us,
yeah.
and that was a better time. And we've lost that, and we've lost, our sense of being people of communicating with each other. And this is
Yeah,
where we are now.
exactly. I mean, I can relate the same way. I mean, I was born and raised and grew up 45 minutes from Manhattan, New York. You know, I grew up in a central little small town of central New Jersey. But, you know, it's the fact is that, you know, the differences today versus the differences back then, huge scale. You got kids that are advancing at extremely fast rates. You know, I could look at my daughter. She's 15 years old. I can say she's a lot smarter now as a 15-year-old child than I was at 15. You know what I mean? I was just getting by school. I mean, she's learning stuff that they would teach in a prep school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you on that.
You know, but you know, I got an announcement here before I close it out. I'm not sure if you are if you're familiar with the show, the Mark Kaye Show. Are you aware of him?
I am not.
Okay, Mark Kaye. Yes, Mark Kaye does basically daily shows on Facebook Live. He's also on KVOT, if I have that station correct. I might be off by a letter or something. But he's out of Jacksonville, Florida. His producer, Hannah Golan, if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, reached out to the show through the Patriot Angle Podcast Facebook page because I was basically watching some of their live content the other day. I've been following Mark Kaye for about a year now, a very conservative podcast host on Spotify and Facebook. And he does his daily shows right out of his studio in his home, and he does basically studio telecasts, similar to how you and I go on restream sometimes on Twitch and everything else. And his producer Hannah is, you know, in one window, and then he has another producer in another window on the screen, and then of course him in the center. Well, I reached out to Hannah, and Hannah actually reached back to me. And I expressed my interest of possibly going on the show. And they had basically said that, you know, we're going to make a special lineup for you, Michael, in about a month. So in about a month, and I did mention that, you know, I do have a person that does come on the show. His name is Jimmy, phenomenal individual. Would you be willing to have him and I on the show? And Hannah basically reached back through the email and said that would be wonderful. We'd love to do a piece on, you know, conservative views and everything else, how you guys, you know, view America, how we view America, and we would do like a little small little segment on the show. Would you be interested in doing that, Jimmy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You're gonna have to check them out. It's the Mark Kaye Show on Facebook and Spotify. Really, really good show. You'd probably really like it. Hey guys, this episode today is brought to you by Blip Billboards. Spring break is coming up, guys, and do you know that more than 56% of Americans are planning to travel this spring season, with 30% traveling during spring break? That's an average of 8% of an increase from last spring break of 2021. Follow consumers, guys, outside with your next billboard advertising campaign. Get started. Sign up on blip.com. That's right, guys. Blip Billboards will help you out. Check them out today. You can Google them. They have phenomenal type of services and everything else. Blip offers packages and also plans. Check out Blip's 3 different subscription plans that will give your business greater visibility and reach. With their silver plan, $500 plus per month, or about $17 a day. They have their gold plan, which is $1,000 plus per month, or about $35 per day. And thirdly, and last but not least, they have their platinum plan that ranges from $2,500 plus per month, or about $85 per day. You can sign up for their monthly packages or their per day deals. Each of these plans include additional advertising credits, free billboard designs, and additional support from their billboard specialist. Check out these plans today, guys. You're going to love it. We use them here on the show, and I can tell you right now, guys, they are phenomenal. Check out Blip. Google search them, Blip billboards. They'll come right up on your search browser. Sign up today. Create that next digital billboard to stand out with your customers, or if you're a podcaster such as myself, it'll give you more engagement with your listening base and your following. Check them out today. Blip billboards. Hey guys, this show is now on Amazon Music and Audible. That's right. Gonna want to check us out on Amazon Audible and Amazon Music. Great set of platforms. We are so honored and grateful to be part of the Amazon team. And we're honored that they are allowing us to be launched on those two major platforms. So thank you to our new friends here on Amazon Music and Audible for choosing the Patriot Angle podcasts. Thank you very much. A true honor to be part of the Amazon team, guys.
If you don't mind, I'd like to plug one show.
Yeah, go ahead. By all means, the floor is yours. Yeah, because we're like I said, Jimmy. I do thank you for your patience. I wanted to make this a quick show, but we got into some content, and I basically let you have the floor with it. But yeah, go ahead. The floor is yours. You can plug in the show if you'd like.
Yeah, I would say, obviously always listen to the Patriot Angle. A lot of great content out of the show. There's a couple other shows that I would mention. Obviously, usfreedomfighters.com. Go on the website, take a look, listen to the content on there. There's a lot of good stuff. Talk about a lot of prepping, a lot of shit hits the fan type scenario stuff. And it's really just a network of some grassroots people, really good people to align yourself with. Not to be confused with a militia, nothing like that. Also, one of the shows, though, Mike, that I have been listening to, which is they get a lot of views, they have a lot of good content, and they're real edgy. So if you don't like edgy stuff, I understand, but it's Fleccas Talks, Fleccas. You have the Fleccas Talks podcast. They are hilarious. They deliver a lot of like up-to-date stuff with a little bit of satire, but with their opinion too. And like I said, they're edgy, and it's a great show. So I would give that a listen too. They're hilarious, both of them.
Yeah, I'd definitely check them out. The last show you just mentioned, it's called Flecka Talk.
Yeah, Flecka Talks podcast.
Yeah, I never heard of him. Is he new on the platform?
I think he's at like episode 27.
Okay, so he's fairly new then. See, he's probably in the first season then, right?
He's in the first season of his podcast, but he's not new to you. He's a YouTuber. He's not new to YouTube. He's gone out and done a lot of. He's got a lot of content. He used to go to a lot of, rallies and types of events and kind of speak to people in an unbiased type of way.
Okay.
And then kind of gauge with them certain things. Like he went to, I think he went to Gay Pride Parade, and then he's easing his way into certain questions, and you could see people contradicting themselves. We hate Trump and this and that, and he's like, why so? And they have no answers for it, or he meets a lot of cool people.
And this is a gentleman. This is a gentleman in the LGBTQ community that shows a support for Trump. That's very rare.
No. He's not. He's not in the. He's not in.
Oh, because you mentioned the gay pride. I do apologize. I thought it. Okay.
Yeah, he goes out to different things to kind of engage with people, and he got a lot of great content during Trump's administration. So he'd go out to like any type of rallies that were like anti-Ben Shapiro, what's the other podcast? Slightly Offensive, like those types of things. He'd go out to the anti-rallies that were being held outside and kind of engage with the people, even though he has firm beliefs, not exactly with theirs. He was able to have conversations with them and then kind of really give them some screwball questions, some hardball questions that they couldn't answer, and a lot of people contradict themselves. It's a lot of good content.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check him out. Yeah, I'm gonna check him. He's on Spotify, of course, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'll Google search him probably later this evening or tomorrow, and I'll check him out. A lot of great content coming out there. Yeah, I appreciate the plugins. And Jimmy, I'm gonna set up a time frame with Hannah over there from the Mark K Show. I highly suggest you check him out. Like I said, just search the Mark K Show on Facebook. He'll pop right up. He's got like tremendous content. I think you'll pretty much fall in love with his content because automatically, because I mean his content is very conservative. He does do a lot of blooper type jokes towards the Biden administration, but I think we all do, right? I mean, it's starting to turn into a fucking clown show if you ask me. But I'm gonna reach out to Hannah for us, and if you'd like to do that with me, man, by all means, we'll set up what they're probably gonna wind up doing is setting up a Zoom call, with their studio, because they stream off of a similar broadcasting network such as I do they don't do through Restream. They do another network that I've never even heard of that she had mentioned. But yeah, we'll probably have to set it up through like a Zoom thing, and it would be really, really awesome for myself, and it would also be awesome for you, man, to basically kind of represent the Patriot Angle podcast and go on, this podcast. It's a global podcast as well as as the Patriot Angle, and a really good set of guys. You know what I mean?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, about a month, she said. So we're in April already? Holy shit. So this would probably be most likely sometime in May. I'm going to set it up with his producer Hannah of the Mark K Show, and like I said, I'm not sure the length of time that they would want us to be on the podcast, but I really don't have a limit. I don't know about your availability, but
I'll make myself available.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's good exposure for us, for you, and hopefully all the hard work you put in, it really shows off. So
definitely.
You on that, and I know you're always scouting out stuff for your show, and that's good stuff right there.
And you know what it is, Jimmy, here, and I'm going to close it out about another minute or two. I promise, folks. We were supposed to close it out fucking 45 minutes ago, but it's okay. But as a person, I tell the listeners, the followers on social media all the time, it's not about the money, Jimmy. It's not. It's about giving other people opportunity. I love having people on here, not just to benefit me, because I'm not doing this to benefit me. I'm doing it to benefit them. I'm showing this as a real character, people, folks out there listening. This is to benefit people out there that come on my show. I'm benefiting their name. I'm trying to make a name for themselves, that come on this show, because I would love for people that come on this show as a guest, as a caller, whatever, to create their own content. You know what I mean, Jimmy? I do it for them too,
Yeah, absolutely. And what you do is great, and I thank you, man, for giving me the opportunity to co-host with you on Tuesdays. So
well, usually Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. We had to flip flop because we had Ty Batten from Real Time with Ty Batten on the show yesterday. So I had to kind of switch it. I do thank you for being patient with that. That was one of the reasons why we couldn't do Tuesday Madness last night. And by the way, the names, Jimmy, we're going to get rid of the names. It's just going to be unfiltered series of the Patriot Angle podcast. A lot of people I do listen to the listeners a lot of comments coming in on the blog, on the website, that they thought the names were kind of corny. But
which names?
Oh, you remember we had the names on the podcast? It would be like on Twitch, it would be like Monday Showdown, Tuesday Madness, Stir Up Wednesday, Wild Friday. A lot of people were thinking it was kind of corny, but hey, to each his own.
And it is, just so you know, in case it is Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Wait, it is Tuesday, isn't it? Holy shit, I thought it was Wednesday. What the hell is wrong with me? I hope I'm not becoming a Joe Biden. Oh, God.
We'll get you that good. We'll get you that good drip to keep through the day, like he does.
I thought it was Wednesday. Jesus Christ. Anyway, Jimmy, thank you. It's always an honor having you on the show. It's great picking your brain, you know what I mean? Knowledge.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and I enjoy it, and hopefully people get something out of this, and even if you don't agree with it, guys, like I said, as long as you don't agree with it, but you're able to kind of think about it and maybe want to discuss it, that's the point. That's the point of the whole thing.
Exactly.
Keep your mind engaged and keep you thinking.
Exactly. Oh, last question here before we close it out. I was going to ask you about that podcast you just mentioned. That what is it called? Flecker's
Talks.
Yeah, Flecker Talks. Do you know them personally at all, Jimmy, or?
No, I don't. I've been following this guy.
Oh, okay. I was going to bring up maybe a suggestion. If you didn't know them personally, hey, I'd love to do a show with you, me, and them.
I don't know him personally. I've been following this guy for quite some time. I would say look at some of his content. It's hilarious. A lot of his older pages got scrubbed right off YouTube.
Oh yeah, kind of how they did it to us. Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, he's been pretty tame. I mean, I wouldn't say tame, but he knows the keywords not to say to get banned off YouTube.
I hear you.
That's all I'll say about that.
Alrighty. All right, Jimmy, I'm going to close it out here. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
All right,
see
bud.
you later.
All right, guys, you just heard tonight's episode with me and Jimmy the Rant. Always a privilege, always a fucking honor having this man on my show. We come from different worlds, but we have the same viewpoints. I call him, my partner in crime here on the show. Like I said, coming from different worlds, but with the same viewpoints. Complete strangers to one another. Don't even know them. Never met them a day in my life. I can tell you, ain't that weird? The digital trust that you have in people. The chemistry that you have with people. Where you can make friends with somebody through digital platforms such as Spotify, Google, and Apple, and have them on your show and just immediately click with the type of content that you both share, and then you understand. It's amazing how this world is. It really is. It's truly amazing. With that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to tonight's show. As always, if you are interested in learning more about our show, you can check our website out, patriotanglepodcast.com. A lot of our exclusive content is posted there from our social media sites of Facebook and Instagram. A lot of great content, guys. I highly suggest you check that website out. You can check our merchandise website out, patriotunfiltered.com. A lot of great merchandise. We're going to be adding some new merchandise, new mugs, t-shirts, and women's apparel on that website in the near future. So you're going to want to look out for those new products hitting the online storefront. Guys, we are on Amazon Audible, right? We are on Audible, and we're also on Amazon Music. Two brand new platforms where this show basically just got added in the last 2 weeks. Phenomenal. Thank you very much to our friends of Amazon Music and Audible for choosing us to allow us to be added to the platform. Such an honor. Thank you very much. It means a lot. It really does. It also means a lot to the listeners that choose to listen to the show here on a daily and a weekly basis from all over the world. Listeners from the UK, Canada, all over the United States, and all over the corners of the globe. Thank you very much to my global audience of the Patriot Angle podcast and my global audience of the Patriot Unfiltered Nation. Thank you very much. And as always, guys, thank you for tuning into today's show, and hope to see you on the next one. Michael Gardner, a host like no other, unfiltered, unscripted, raw. You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle Podcast, an Anchor platform.